Welcome back, Time Cruisers. I'm your host, R.R. Slugger, and today we're going to be looking at the flagship of Dr. Cyber's Armada, 6493 Flying Time Vessel. Tim, Dr. Cyber, and Ali all return from their adventures with the Hypno Cruiser to be with us today, and they brought with them an entire chest full of goodies. A brown flintlock pistol, transparent orange chainsaw, dark gray saber, and glow-in-the-dark magic wand are included, in addition to a series of disguises. This time around, we receive a pair of space helmets, pirate garb, and medieval helms, with this one in dark gray potentially being the most sought after here. As always, these accessories and headgear were taken from other themes available at the time, allowing the Time Cruisers to seamlessly jump between eras. The Flying Time Vessel is the largest of Dr. Cyber's inventions, and is well suited for extended journeys through zero time. Packaged in an utterly massive box with a flip-up lid, this model is a statement piece unto itself. From the store to your home, this is what they call a conversation starter. Speaking of which, let's talk about what we're looking at here. Well, where to start? Perhaps even more than the previous sets in this series, the Flying Time Vessel is a true collage of extravagant ideas. While the mast, riggings, and dragon elements do play into the assumption that Time Cruisers is just made up of leftover pieces from other themes, the boat hull and cockpit defy this notion, as they are both set exclusive. In addition, the transparent blue costume container and yellow wing jets make their first and final appearances within 1996 as well. The yellow periscope on the roof makes me question if there was ever a consideration to use one of these prototype octagonal pieces, rather than just the regular cylinder bricks that saw release. Nearby, these mounted crossbows lead me to wonder if the Time Cruisers are really that different from their twisted adversaries.
Excuse me, I'd just like to ask a question.
What does Dr. Cyber need with a mounted crossbow? The sole points of vibrancy that rub me the wrong way here are these dragon arms, the only green pieces on the model. I can't help but wish that they were red to match the dragon helm and wings. Unfortunately, LEGO never produced these long retired pieces in that color, so it's not even a modification I can recommend. The only other option is to swap them out with black dragon arms, but this is too evocative of shoulder-length satin gloves for my liking. Green it is then. Just like with the Whirling Time Warper, the Flying Time Vessel features many interconnected moving parts. The most obvious elements are those of the flapping wings. Even though this mechanism may put stress on the axle and certainly wouldn't fly in designs today, it still delivers a consistent and fun play feature. Beneath the treasure chest inside the cockpit lies the inner workings of the mechanism controlling the tail propeller. Though it doesn't get caught up often, unfortunately I've found this rubber band connection point to be the source of hiccups in the play feature from time to time. Regardless, the Flying Time Vessel makes for a fairly sound design, aesthetics withholding. Just like the other sets in the theme, there are no alternate builds on the back of the box. I'm also unaware of any combiner models from a LEGO magazine that involve this set, meaning that we may be fresh out of luck here. Well, not entirely. It's a bit of a stretch, but within the Click comic, there was a time when an alternate build was depicted. In this scene, we can see the twisted time train transform Timmy's time machine into a floating prison, trapping him inside. Given the geometry and amount of snot techniques present here, I think it's safe to say this illustration was not based on a physical model. With that being said, here's my attempt at reverse engineering it anyways. I had to use several parts from outside what was included in the box, but I still think it turned out alright. Lastly, we've got to talk about these cassette tapes in more detail. I've hinted at them before, but I want to take a moment now to divulge more about them. Each of the 3 largest original Time Cruiser sets came packaged with a cassette tape in German-speaking regions. Essentially, they are a series of radio plays that tell the story of the Time Cruisers. Here's what they sound like.
Professor Cyber steht nicht auf diese Musik? Naja, vielleicht hatte er recht. Mit der Musik unserer Gegenwart kann ich wirklich nicht viel anfangen.
These tapes are also the source for the Time Cruiser's theme song, which can be heard at the beginning and end of each tape. These radio plays were recorded at Rabbit Studio in Bonningstedt, Germany. The production was overseen by Hans Joachim Herwald, who was well renowned for their work in radio dramas and had a career lasting several decades. There were many other people involved in the creation of these tapes, but the one name I wasn't able to track down was that of the composer. I would love to know who created this wonderfully adventurous score and credit them for their work, so please let me know if you have any leads in that department. According to these radio plays, Tim and Dr. Cyber are from the year 3777, a time in which temporal mechanics have been banned by the Ministry of Past and Future. A sudden health crisis that could be solved with an herb long extinct causes the Ministry to ask Dr. Cyber for aid. With Tim and Ali, Dr. Cyber slingshots the flying time vessel around the sun and jumps back in time to San Francisco, 1984. There he recovers 2 humpback whales and returns to the future to respond to the alien probe. Okay, I made that last part up, but these tapes do contain some pretty exciting adventures. If you're like me and in need of some English translations, I've linked to some in the description. I think they're well worth a read. In this slug's opinion, these cassette tapes have more canonical merit than the vague, contradictory scraps we receive in LEGO magazines. Still, there are many ways to interpret the story, and some folks out there have done amazing work so far. As an understatement, the Flying Time Vessel is an interesting set. Even though it takes up a lot of real estate to display, no other Time Cruiser's model facilitates the idea of flying from era to era, theme to theme, the way this one does. I think this makes the Flying Time Vessel a more than worthy vehicle for adventure. I've been your host, R.R. Slugger, and time flies when you're having fun.